texture, typically done with a whisk or mixer. Mixing two substances together so that they become incorporated together. For gelatin, softening gelatin using a liquid before use. For cocoa powder, mixing cocoa powder with hot water and stirring to remove any lumps before letting it sit for a minute or two. To heat the liquid until it reaches its boiling point. To spread or add butter onto something. A type of icing used to fill, top, coat, and decorate cakes or cupcakes. A process of cooking sugar until it turns brown. Using a knife or sharp object to repeatedly cut something into small pieces. To cover something with a wet or dry substance, for example, after baking, bread loaves are usually coated with a layer of butter. To mix two ingredients together. The texture and thickness of a substance. Allowing something to reduce in temperature. Softening butter or other solid fats such as lard and mixing them with other ingredients. Technique of pinching the sides and tops of the pie or tart crust. Used to describe the small particles of cakes or bread. The outer skin of a bread or pie, typically hard in texture, happens when a liquid separates and forms cords and lumps. Mixing butter or shortening into the flour using a knife or a pastry blender until they are well mixed. To remove the ice or frost from something frozen by increasing its temperature. Thinning a liquid by adding in water or another solvent. To immerse something into a dry or liquid mixture. To incorporate a solid ingredient of food to a liquid form, a solution or mixture. It provides heat through steam alone and it's often used to cook delicate sauces or melt chocolate. The process of pouring a thin stream of liquid such as glaze or butter over food. Ingredients that are dry and don't contain any water, it usually in solid form. The process of sprinkling a thin layer of powdered ingredients such as cocoa powder, flour, and confectioner sugar over food. It's a beaten egg to brush a layer of beaten egg mixture over the surface of food. A mixture containing liquids that are immiscible such as oil and water. For baking flavorings, an artificial substance refers to the natural substance that has been extracted straight from its source. During fermentation, carbon dioxide is produced and trapped as tiny pockets of air within the dough. This causes it to rise. A technique used to describe the gentle incorporation of dry to liquid ingredient refers to a stage in whipping. To make the surface of a food shiny by coating with a layer of sugar, butter, or any other glossy liquid. Name for the proteins found in grains such as wheat, barley, and rye. The seeds from a food plant such as grass and cereal sprouts. Refers to the textures of a substance not smooth or fine, has a granular bits. To lubricate or oil something, usually a pan, with a fat or butter. A sweet glaze used to cover or decorate food such as cakes, pastries, and cookies. To add one substance to another and mix them together such that they are eventually distributed. To immerse or step or soak something into liquid to extract its flavors. To work dough by massaging, cooling, and folding it. The process of alternating layers of dough with butter. Leavening agents are used in doughs and butters to help them rise. Typically used to describe the final or optimal state of creaming butter and sugar. Used to describe the texture of a substance not smooth, has lumps. Mildly warm liquid when very slightly warmer than the body temperature. The process of softening a food by soaking it in liquid. For food, taste has developed fully to produce a strong and rich flavor. Heating a solid product to form a liquid. Using a knife or sharp object to chop something very finely and into very small pieces. Combine two or more substances together. To pinch or give shape to something or such as bread or pie dough. Pan with multiple cylindrical indents used to create characteristic shape of muffins and cupcakes. For pan or surface covered with a substance that prevents food from sticking. A product to grease commonly refers to bread dough which has been left to ferment or rest too long. Use to line baking pans to prevent food from sticking to them. The outer skin or covering of food such as orange or lemon. Using fingers to press something together. To squeeze a liquid substance, usually a frosting, through a piping bag for decorating purposes. Turning the oven or pan beforehand to let it come to the desired temperature. Letting the shaped bread dough have its final rise before baking. Using pulse mode will give you more control to the fineness of the blended ingredients. Deflating bread dough, eliminating air bubbles so that it is easily kneaded and cheese after its first rise. The process of thickening and reducing the amount of liquid in a liquid substance through simmering or boiling in order to intensify its flavor. When a liquid or mixture has reached its boiling temperature and produces a lot of bubbles, typically used to refer the process of crumbling and breaking butter into small pieces by rubbing them into flour. Heating liquid until it reaches the temperature just before its boiling point. Slashing the surface of food such as bread or pie dough, cakes and meat using the sharp knife. Typically used to describe dough which is too dry, hasn't been fully kneaded, or rough and irregular in texture. Using a sharp-edged instrument to remove something from a surface. The length of time that a product is usable, fit for consumption, and can be kept. Putting a food through a sieve to separate solids from liquids or lump from powdered material. Stick-proof baking sheet made from food-grade silicone and fiberglass. Process of bringing a liquid to a temperature that is slightly below its boiling point and letting it bubble gently. The outer layer of a fruit, vegetables, or meat. Butter that has been left at room temperature for a while until it's no longer hard and cold. A stage in whipping where the pigs are able to hold their shape when their whisk or beater are lifted. Refers to the sponge and dough method for making bread consisting of two steps. First step is making a yeast starter. Second is it will be added to the final dough. To lightly scatter something over a food like sugar topping. Refers to a stage in whipping that do not collapse at all when the beater's whisk is lifted. Mixing a substance by moving a kitchen utensils or tools in circular motions. When tempering eggs, a hot liquid is slowly added to the mixture in small amounts to prevent egg from scrambling. Eggs stand with a rotating base that is used for decorating cakes. If proof bread dough bounces back immediately when cooked, it is undercooked and needs more time to rise. Beating liquid ingredients such as heavy cream and egg whites using a whisk or mixer to produce volume. A kitchen tool used to blend, beat, and incorporate air into a mixture. The amount of baked goods one can get from one recipe. Made by scraping the outer layer of the skin of citrus fruits using a grater used to add flavor to food.